Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're the Alt Knights. I'm your host, Brandon,
I'm your host, Dan.
and this is the Knights Court. Our first topic, the NFL players kneeling. Now, we covered this before, but there's a lot of new information that's out there. And what we talked about before was how, we got to respect the flag and all that, and that's what they're not doing that. A lot of new stuff comes out, and for those who don't know, the Steeler that went out and went to sing the anthem and go and stand for the flag, he said that was a mistake.
He said he humiliated his teammates or something along those lines.
He said he made a mistake. He made them look bad, and it was a whole big thing. And there are some people on Instagram that are saying that it's because of Trump. That if we didn't have a stupid president, a retarded president like Trump, they wouldn't be kneeling. We're kneeling because of that. Okay, that means that it's not about police brutality of what they say. Some NFL players are saying that it's because to fight, not to fight stupid wars, and it makes people enlist. The flag makes people enlist. Okay, that's not about police brutality then. It's not about oppression, which is what they're making it out to be. And if it really was about oppression and all this stuff, why did all of the black players that now were kneeling didn't kneel before Trump said anything? It's all because of Donald Trump, and because it's just another way to give it to him, to oppose him.
Now, keep in mind, you're not forced to join the military in America. It's entirely a volunteer force.
And enlisting is the key word there. You're enlisting. You're not being drafted. Which I don't know what that guy was going about. And another thing is that they are saying that their First Amendment rights are being violated.
There's actually a code. There's a rule in the NFL that states you have to stand for the flag.
With your helmet in your hand, in your with your left, holding with your left, and putting your right hand on your heart.
Now, what's funny to me is the NFL is willing to let players kneel before the flag and during the anthem, but wearing 9/11 cleats is prohibited.
Or decals to honor the dead cops in the Dallas shooting.
Because Dallas wanted to have something to honor the cops. Yeah, no, that's not allowed.
On their helmets, on their helmets, but that's not allowed. Or the shoes that were pink, the pink cleats for the guy's mom who had breast cancer.
No, that's not allowed either.
And that's not allowed either. So, NFL, you're the last to talk about violating free speech.
To have Roger Goodell come out in support of this, that's just really like, Roger Goodell is such a fucking scumbag, dude.
And we also had a report that as it came out was that John Elway, he said we stand for the anthem. Anything that has to do with the flag, we stand for it.
Now you see. Well, you do have the right to kneel for the flag. You have your First Amendment rights, and you were completely within your rights to kneel. It's in bad taste. It's not like you're not allowed, but it's in bad. There's some things you don't do. For example, I wouldn't go out and start calling black people niggers out on the street because that's in bad taste.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court ruled that hate speech
is free speech.
But then who decides exactly what hate speech is?
I believe the exact words were, "We have the right to express the thought that we hate."
Yep. And another one would be going and yelling at a nun.
Exactly.
And
berating a nun. You can do it, sure.
Just
but
because
you
can
taste.
do it. Yep, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Now back with the NFL. That's what it's there. And remember, these are employees. They're not just regular people. Like I think a lot of people forget that this is an actual job. This is an occupation.
Right, yeah.
And
at work, you don't have freedom of speech.
You're limited. So John Elway said that we stand for the anthem, and he told them that's what they're going to do. And apparently, the Broncos are going to be now standing together when the anthem's played for the flag,
as they should.
as they should. Yep. And Von Miller, um, and he was the MVP when the Broncos won the Super Bowl. Me as a Broncos fan, it's a fan of your team doing that, like betrayal in a way. He was the one that was leading the protest for the Broncos. He's the one that had everyone do it, and he was the ringleader of that one, which came out, and he's taking responsibility for that. His ads are being pulled. He's a spokesman for Old Spice.
Oh
Brandon
fuck! I love
Marshall,
Old Spice.
Brandon Marshall, another Bronco who was actually the first Bronco to kneel. His sponsors are being pulled. These guys, their sponsors are they're getting rid of them.
Good.
That's good. That's a step,
Step in
and
the right
it's
direction.
happening to a lot of them. And we report it on DirecTV. DirecTV is now offering refunds to people who subscribed, had the subscription for the NFL packages.
Good. Very good. Muy bueno.
And you're seeing we're seeing businesses taking out, showing them from their bars and stuff like that. It's just really, really good, I guess. Just what's going on. The NFL they're pushing it, and and the customers, us, the viewers, are really having our voices heard here. And just NFL is the last thing to say about free speech, as we mentioned the examples of them shutting down free speech. But they let Colin Kaepernick wear socks that depicted cops as
As
pigs.
pigs, yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay.
That's fine. That's perfectly within your rights. But to honor the victims of 9/11, taking it a step too far there.
The liberals are now going and saying that Trump called everyone in the NFL a son of a bitch.
Sons of bitches. Yep, I heard that.
Sons of
No,
bitches, all that.
he called
No.
specific people sons of bitches, which they are.
Yeah.
And how calling someone a son of a bitch is now suddenly a racial term. I've called a lot of people sons of bitches in my life. Never in a racial context. It has been, you, sir, are a son of a bitch. Or you, sir, are a bitch.
It's getting really out of hand, and it's looking like a lot of people we know a lot of people are protesting. I'm protesting the NFL too, going boycotting the
As am
NFL.
I.
And another thing was that the Packers, they asked their fans to join them and lock arms
And
as they unite.
did you see that meme? It was of the owner of Dallas. Why can't Jerry Jones, right?
Yeah,
Jerry
Jerry
Jones.
Jones.
It had when he gave that smug look to the camera right before he knelt. Someone screen capped it right before he knelt and looked at the camera and said, "You don't tell me what to do with my niggers, Donny boy."
Oh man, and the face that he made when he looked like he knew he screwed up.
He knew what he was doing.
But his own fans were booing them. They were
Yep.
getting booed. The Cardinals didn't kneel though.
Really.
They're one of the 6 teams that weren't kneeling.
Have the Browns kneeled yet? I swear to God, if the Browns kneeled, that's the last thing they need. The Browns are already trash. Leave it to the Browns then to raise the bar if they didn't kneel. I mean, come on, man. If the Browns are doing something right, there's a problem.
The Jets also haven't knelt yet.
Leave it to the
But they'll-
Jets to raise the bar. I mean, not
Yeah.
that the Giants are doing too well this year.
But it's just it's looking good in the sense of how many people are actually boycotting and how far they're going into boycotting. But like with burning the stuff and burning their their NFL gear and their shirts and even stuff that their kids gave them, and people that are burning signed footballs from years ago. Thing is, like, all right, you're giving it to the NFL. That's good, but when it all blows over, I'm just afraid that they're gonna be like, "What did I do with all my stuff?"
And you know what's funny is fake news CNN put out a report on September 20th saying NFL ratings are the lowest they've been in 10 years. Is this a problem? Then Donald Trump came out against it, and suddenly 6 days later, Donald Trump says the NFL ratings are the lowest they've been in 10 years. Here's why that's not true. What? I'm sorry, what? Can we just...
Oh God, CNN. When you think when you think that it can't get any worse,
Literally 6 days ago, you were saying that, you know what? It doesn't even matter anymore.
it's just really something. And you have Donald Trump is just making all the true colors come out of how basically anti-American all these liberals are. My God. Well, any final thoughts, Dan?
No, not exactly. We just gotta see how this develops. But I think you're definitely right, though, about all these people burning their vintage gear. When this blows over, you've just burned thousands of dollars in vintage gear.
Yeah, it's
And you're just gonna be looking back at it like, what the fuck did I do?
yeah, so anyone listening to this, take that into account because
Don't burn your gear just yet.
eventually it'll blow over. I hope it does, and but the only way that I think that it can be settled is if they stop kneeling and they start,
Start
you know,
issuing fines for kneeling.
and then they start doing that, and then they start actually respecting the flag, and they start standing and putting their hands on their hearts like everyone used to do. But I think that the NFL has to then apologize. I think they still have to
Definitely. I
apologize
think
and
we need
put out a
a
statement.
formal apology issued.
Yeah, and then that'll end it. That'll end
Definitely.
the feud. Moving on to our next topic, Dan, the body positivity movement.
Oh my god, we need to talk about this. I've just, I saw a commercial on the other day for Target, and see these girls modeling the usual fall outfits. See this one girl, she's tall, thin, usual model, and then it happened. Here on screen comes waddling the fatty fat modeling her dress for her making her debut of like what maybe 10 seconds total in the commercial. But still, you just had to throw that in there. But I think we need to talk here for a second about that. First of all, being fat, it's not good. It's not healthy. We need to stop promoting this as if it's healthy. It's not.
You're killing yourself. You're dying.
There's people out here. You say things like, "There's not a skinny person trapped inside me." Yes, there is. Those layers of fat crushing your skeleton. There is a skinny person trapped inside you, and they are screaming to be let out.
Just fat is beautiful.
No, it's not.
Overweight is beautiful.
It's ugly. It's cellulite. It's stretch marks. It's sweat under. Actually, what really sparked this topic for me was the glorification of it in today's society by things such as that show on TLC, My 600-Pound Life.
Almost to the point where it's better that you should be overweight, not thin, not fit.
No, just
you
the
should
fact
be
that they like things like Honey Boo Boo and My 600-Pound Life, glorifying that lifestyle. It's
like it's something to be.
Yeah, like it's something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting.
Now there's a difference between being confident in yourself and you know what I mean, like the difference.
I'm gonna throw out some facts here. Fat people are statistically at a higher risk of diabetes, heart disease, liver cirrhosis, clogged arteries. On top of this, when you go into when you go into a hospital, you cause a more significant burden on hospital and ER staff because now more time and manpower has to be devoted to caring for you. It's not healthy. Fat is not healthy. You will die. I guarantee you. You will die before the age of 60 if you are massively overweight. You will not live.
And it's not even about that they're trying to help them. They actually, it's like they want them to stay that weight that they are. It's like they want to have them eat more.
No, even to gain weight.
Yeah, gain weight. They like the more weight you gain, the more beautiful you will be. Um, you're killing yourself. You're dying. You're actually dying right now. Is what's going on. It's and it's almost like, oh, it's not. It's like it's something negative, but you just can't say it to someone because you're
I
afraid you're
mean,
gonna hurt someone's
to
feelings.
even speak out against it, they call it thin privilege. No, it's called being healthy. It's not thin privilege because I don't. When sit in a plane and I don't need to take up two seats, it's not because I'm thin privileged. It's because I take care of myself.
And there are medical conditions like thyroid issues or something like that where um,
Yes, there
yeah,
are
people
legitimate
people have
medical
hard times,
issues,
losing weight. So, okay,
but they're
but
few and far between.
if you take the numbers, if you take the amount of people that are overweight, people that have medical conditions that stop them from losing weight, that's a minority.
That and versus the amount of people that claim to have things such as thyroid
Yeah,
disease.
that's a minority. It's called laziness. You don't care about your body.
It's a lack of discipline and a lack of self-control.
But then again, that's the liberal thing. They don't care about their bodies. They don't care about people doing drugs and girls having sex everywhere and with guys and all these things. Dan, they
They don't
really
care.
don't
They
they
promote it.
don't care.
Promote degeneracy.
It's something that really needs to be talked about, and they shut you down when you try to tell them, hey, we're not saying this out of hate.
Fat
No, it's
shaming.
not.
Fat shaming works. It's been
Yeah.
proven. Fat shaming
Well, yeah.
works.
Gavin McInnes. Gavin McInnes has even said it. Fat shaming works.
Calling someone
But
a fat fuck makes them feel bad. It inspires them to get better.
but the difference that is not fat shaming is telling him that it's unhealthy, which they say that if you tell them that it's unhealthy, you're fat shaming them.
But no, they see it as the only way is encourage them, even when they're not trying.
What happened to all the campaigns to go out and exercise and stuff like that?
60 minutes a day.
And it's not, and most of it's talking about it's a lot of adults, adults, but in teenagers, in little kids.
Childhood
The other
obesity is at the highest it's been in decades.
You remember all those posters in school, especially in public school, 60 minutes a day, all that running,
Yep.
go, and I don't see that anymore
Nope.
in public places. I don't.
The food
I don't.
pyramid.
That's gone. I don't think they're in the schools, in public school systems anymore. At least that I know of. I don't think my younger cousins know what that is. I don't think they do. Um, I'm gonna run it by them. I'm actually gonna do a test on them when I see them. They're in elementary school, what and middle school. Uh, Promoting health is now I guess an issue for the right.
It's racist to promote health.
And now, yeah, and now it's, I guess it's only the right is now can promote is promoting health,
See,
because I don't see the left. talking about it, saying to be
To
healthy.
promote body health is Chad nationalism, which is racist.
And it's just you just see in general in the whole world, specifically the United States, because we'll talk about the country here. They're going to lengths now that are just beyond insane. Just how
To
um,
appease fatties.
it's and not even just this movement, but race now. Everything is racist. You're. We're gonna get to this in the next segment about how you're racist. It's in your DNA if you're white. We'll get that
Yep.
we'll get to that in the next statement. Everything's racist. How we'll talk about this in the next segment. How Dr. Seuss is now racist. How everything is racist now.
Everything white is racist.
They're pushing it and pushing it, and they're going too far now. And it's and the body positivity movement has it's been going on for some time, but the amount of the length that they're going overboard is what it is, to the point where they can't come back from it anymore. And the only way to get rid of this is if you stop it in its tracks completely.
Yep.
There's no more going back anymore, folks. This needs to end.
And I think that about concludes our segment on body, on fat people, on fatty fat fats. You are not attractive if you are fat. That is fact. You may find some beta orbiter provider to be your meal ticket, but I assure you, if you want anyone who's actually decent looking, here's a pro tip. People who are decent looking are allowed to have standards.
Yes, and I guess we'll leave it there, Dan. That's a mighty fine way to end that. What do you think?
I think so.
All right. Our third topic and our final topic before we get to the interview, which is going to be pretty interesting, I think,
Definitely.
to our guest. Yep, to our guest. It's going to be the Bronx teen that stabbed two classmates.
I think
we
we really need to talk about this because it's interesting to me that all these parents. I was watching the news. All these parents are out there talking about, oh, some things should have been put in place. First of all, nobody could have predicted this. It's not like knives are allowed in school. It's not like you're encouraged to bring. That's not a knife. This is a knife. Pull up to school with your fucking Bowie knife. It's not like that's encouraged. You'll be expelled in school if for bringing in a weapon. So let's just get that out of the way straight up. You're not allowed to have weapons in school.
And yeah, and exactly. So, for those who don't know about the story, and Dan and I will go into detail about it. With that said, what this kid did, no matter we're gonna get to why it's apparently okay that he did this. Um, with that being said, about what Dan said, no matter for what reason he killed one kid and he stabbed two kids. One of them died. No matter what reason it is that he did that, he still brought a weapon to school. That's automatic. That's automatically automatically should be just expelled or even be charged
Now,
because he's 18 years old, so he can be tried as an adult.
now
So
they've put up. They've actually started putting up metal detectors, which brings me to another point of mine. If they had put metal detectors up in the beginning of the year before this, I can guarantee that these parents would have been blowing a shit fit. We don't need metal detectors. Metal detectors is racist. This is a safe school. But now that shit's hit the fan, why weren't there metal detectors in place? Why weren't?
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It's crazy. It's just ridiculous. So for those who don't know the story of it, it goes this. This is a 18-year-old Hispanic high school student from the Bronx, and Bronx in New York City. He's gay, and he was being bullied and what they said, calling him faggot and a spick. Call him faggot and spick. And two of these kids that were calling him were a 15-year-old boy and a 16-year-old boy. And how does this kid get mixed up with a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old if he's 18?
Solid question.
Sped class, maybe?
Held back a few years?
Yeah, maybe. Could be. So one day he brought a knife to school, stabbed the 15-year-old boy and stabbed the 16-year-old boy. Now the school apparently it was said that the school didn't do anything about the bullying. Now the person that's the spokesperson for the family, who's representing the family, tried to justify this psycho's actions by saying that he was defending himself against extreme bullying. Dan, explain to us how that's just not valid.
That's horseshit. That's horseshit in a court of law, and you know that. Now, could he plead temporary insanity? Possibly. But to say that he was defending himself against extreme bullying, no. They attack you with words. You attack with a knife. That is not equal force. Well, actually, they removed. Here in New York, you have if you're assaulted, you have to meet force with equal force, or else you can be charged with a crime. So, this guy he should definitely be charged. Well, again, he can definitely plead temporary insanity and see where that gets him in court. It might get him some leniency. I don't think it's temporary insanity. I think this kid couldn't handle the bants. Now, he had 1,000 other options. He could have gone to counseling. He could have told someone. He could have brought this up.
Or he could have just confronted the kids with words himself. Just with words about just, what happened, like, just confront them. Tell them to stop.
Exactly. Fight them. Don't immediately turn to stabbing.
And it was a 15-year-old boy and a 16-year-old boy, and the 15-year-old was the one who he died. And the 16-year-old boy lived. They're justifying this kid's actions because of extreme bullying. And they said that the school didn't do anything. This was a quote from the spokesperson with them, Savannah Hornback, a spokeswoman for his family. This was a case of extreme bullying and taunting of the suspect over the suspect's perceived sexual orientation. The family claimed that they alerted a school guidance counselor about the extreme bullying. I'm reading from the article. Hornback said, but it wasn't immediately clear if they notified a counselor or urban assembly or staff at another school where he'd also faced bullying. That means that he's been bullied before. This isn't the first time he's been bullied. And then why didn't he go and kill the kids there? Or was it that this was just worse or something? I don't know. Meaning that this kid has been bullied, and he never went to someone?
He never talked to someone?
That's what it sounds like. But apparently the parents knew that he was being bullied. That's also what it sounds like too. Dan, what as a parent, thinking in the parent's shoes. Let's say you're a parent. Your kid's being bullied.
I would not be a good parent. I'm just warning you right now. I am not a good example to use for this, because if this was my kid in that position, I would have said something. I would probably have told him something along the lines of either kick this kid's ass, or fucking stop. Just take it. Either be a pussy about it or kick this kid's ass. There is no in between here.
Yeah, exactly. If you know that he's being bullied, everywhere any place that he's going to, any other school that he's going to, you know that there's a problem. Um, I don't know why the parents didn't go to the teachers, and they said that the teachers didn't do anything, but they didn't go to them. It's in the report. Um, I don't know. I have no idea how they can justify his actions for extreme bullying. What counts as extreme bullying then?
Exactly. Where's the line for extreme bullying?
You can't justify and apparently that test when you saying in court that if he has a mental illness, I guess that gets you places. Uh, that helps you win case. He's probably gonna. That's what probably they're gonna do. So in conclusion to this topic, the kid had a lot of other
Mental issues
things,
outside of.
and he could have done a lot of other stuff to help himself
It's not
through
like he
this
didn't
instead
have
of killing someone.
options.
Yeah, he had options. Killing him, the kid's crazy. He's a psycho himself for killing him, but and he's a murderer, and he's 18 years old, so he can be tried as an adult. Give him the death penalty, maybe. I don't care. Final thoughts, Dan.
I don't think New York has the death penalty. Oh my god! No,
What?
I was asking my friend to draw up a tattoo design for me, and I'll send you what he sent me.
Okay.
Well then,
Okay.
yeah, no, I think this kid really he needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah, and I agree.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our favorite segment, Liberals Gone Wild. We're here today with our guest, the Nigerian Prince, also known as Trent. Introduce yourself, Trent.
How are we all doing?
Trent, where can we find you at on Instagram?
The Nigerian Prince doesn't want to disclose that at this time.
Copy that. All right.
Well, thank you for coming on. And so, what are you going to talk to us about today?
Well, I just wanted to talk about how, like whenever I talk to liberals, if they even make an attempt to have a debate with me, they're completely uninformed. Like, I'll bring up something like they have no idea what I'm talking about. I was arguing with this one kid. I'll call him SpongeBob a couple weeks ago. We were talking, he knows I'm a conservative. I know he's a liberal, so we were talking about that. And he's like, "Oh, you're a conservative. You want more government." And I look at it and I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're the liberal here." And he's like, I'm like, "You want more government." And he's like, No. Conservatives want more government." I'm like, "No, that's really not how it works." Our history teacher was there. So SpongeBob asked our history teacher, conservatives want more government, right? And our teacher's like, liberals like more government programs, blah, blah, blah. Basically, liberals want more government, which they do. And he was like, huh? And I was like, yeah. And then he started going on like, oh, well, conservatives are beating people up, and they drove through the people at that one riot.
In Charlottesville.
Charlottesville. And I was like, well, what about the Antifa protesters who are throwing like piss bottles, M80s at people, hitting people with bike locks?
M80s inside glass bottles.
Yeah. I told him this, and he looked at me like I was crazy. He had no idea what I was talking about.
See, that's the funny part. The MSM doesn't report on these things.
Nobody reports on these things. CNN doesn't report on it. Fucking nobody does. And they have no idea. They look at me like I'm crazy. They think Antifa are like superheroes, but they're not. They're domestic terrorists.
And that's one person, but if there's one...
Oh, he's not the only one. I'm just using him as an example.
I know, and that's what it is. If there's one, there's thousands.
Definitely.
Have you guys seen this latest video getting passed around, making its rounds around the internet? This woman got thrown off another flight, but we're not talking like the United flight here with that Asian dude. This woman, all right, she's a professor at Harvard. She's a double winner here too. She's a professor of both women's studies and Islamic culture. So she picked a real winner here. But anyway,
it's a double whammy.
And for those of you who don't know, In Muslim culture, dogs are considered filthy. So she's on a plane with these dogs, and she tells one of the stewardesses, "Can you please remove the dogs from this flight because I'm deathly allergic to them?" And the stewardess was like, "No, they're service dogs. I can't remove them." And then she starts the stewardess is like, "But you can leave the plane if you're deathly allergic, man. You need to leave the plane," because now they're thinking this woman is deathly allergic to these dogs. Now, on top of this, she couldn't produce any medical records proving that she was deathly allergic to dogs. So maybe she was slightly allergic. Maybe her eyes got itchy or some shit like that. But nonetheless, this was simply rooted in the fact that she's a Muslim and Muslims don't like dogs. And there's actually not a lot, surprisingly, not a lot of sympathy for her going around the net. People are like, because when you mess with the dogs,
the animals.
Animals do that sort of thing, okay? Animals. You don't fuck with dogs.
You don't fuck with the animals.
You don't fuck with the woofers.
Where's PETA? Where's PETA?
Where's PETA?
Yes, where's PETA in this?
Where's the outrage? PETA, I'm looking at you, waiting on your response.
Nowhere.
No bueno. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that was cultural appropriation.
They'll keep peddling their ads, telling me to eat vegan, telling me to throw my bacon out the window, but they don't say anything about this.
But anyway, my point of sharing that little tangent there is that the general public is, once again, uninformed, as Trent said. They're uninformed on shit like this, like that Muslims absolutely despise dogs.
That's not the only thing to despise.
Oh, yeah. So, Trent, any other examples of your experiences with the uninformed public?
Well, I mean, just in general, most of the people.
Oh yeah, of course, definitely.
When they don't even talk to me about it. But when I do, I'll bring up any example of anything we've heard about, at all these different protests of liberals going fucking crazy. Berkeley, fucking everywhere. They've never even heard about it.
I know, it's amazing that people don't seem to. You look at shit at the Battle of Berkeley and you see Moldy Locks getting absolutely decimated by Nathan D'Amico, and they use that as propaganda against the right. But what sparked that? Let's take a look back here for a second. Do you want to know, for those of you who haven't seen, who weren't following the battles of Berkeley at the time, they're going down in history books.
And if you haven't seen it, look up, Moldy Locks and.
So anyway, Antifa.
Yeah, don't look up the porn.
Oh god, no, don't do that. I made that mistake. Don't do it.
It's not pretty.
It's not. So much hair.
That bitch needs to shave her armpits.
And a pussy.
Yeah.
We're gonna cut this out.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You have the hand. The editing is left in the hands of me, and you know me.
Fuck. Anyway. Oh shit. Oh, what was my point? All right. So Antifa popped a smoke grenade, not knowing that the wind happened to be blowing towards them at the time. So the smoke grenade that they popped blew towards them and forced them to retreat, now giving the alt-knights a chance to charge them. And that was how Moldy Locks got fucking rocked, because she was trying to start a fight.
And in the video, you can see her going towards him to punch him, and
he just straight up that counter punch.
Just done.
And we'll play the video for you here.
Flawless.
He wasn't taking her shit. Wasn't taking it.
Flawless counter punch. But yeah, as Trent said, when you talk to people who are, I've had experiences like that before. I was talking to a liberal friend of mine, and when I discussed economics, I'm like, "You're a communist, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, So, if you're a communist, can you explain to me why the labor theory of value has been consistently debunked by reputable economics such as Hoppe, Rothbard, Hayek? And he just looked at me like I had 9 heads. He's like, what's the labor theory of value? I'm like, that is the main basis for the economic basis of your ideology. That is what your ideology's economy is based around, and you don't even know it. All they know is free stuff, equality. Now, to me, communism it's either equal poverty, or there's capitalism, which is unequal amounts of wealth, but we're not all living in poverty. You at least get the chance to live comfortably.
It's a fair inequality.
It's unfair inequality. It's unfair equality, yes. And as someone once told us on Instagram, capitalism lets people starve. Listen, capitalism ensures that the money goes to the most fair places. If you can make something of yourself, like America isn't run like a caste system in India. You are able to move up if you put in the work.
And you deserve it.
If you starve, if you starve, 9 times out of 10 is going to be your fault.
See, a lot of people out there, like, there are too many success stories in America of people who grew up poor, who grew up homeless, and went on to make something of themselves because they put in the hard work and they grinded and they made something of themselves. You are not trapped. The only person under capitalism and under America, the only person keeping you down is yourself if you don't put in the work.
If you don't put in the work, you gotta just, if you want to start your own business, you gotta put in the work.
You gotta be willing to take a few hits. Now, a lot of these people who are out on the street are there because of their own personal choices. And that's a fact. Because when it comes to the end of it, you can make all the money you want. You can work that low-paying job, but when it comes to the end of it, you weren't saving your money. You were drinking. You were shooting up drugs. You were gambling. You weren't being smart with your money, and that's why you are where you are.
And that's a thing when liberals go and say, this is another thing about them being not informed and stuff. When they call Trump a failed businessman.
All right,
I'm a failed businessman.
All right, listen. Bankruptcy is a part of business. It's a business strategy.
And that's what it is. And also you have to take risks for a business.
Exactly.
You gotta take risks. They don't know that. Liberals don't work. Liberals don't work. They don't know what work is. They don't know the mentality that you have to own your own business or to just work in general. They don't even work. They have no idea.
What's funny is an overwhelming percentage of the time, you go out in public, I mean, you see it with people like Fleckus, people like Alex Jones. You go out there into the public and you ask people, what exactly is Trump doing that's bad? Or what exactly has Trump said that you don't like? Or what exactly has Trump said that's racist? And they can't tell you. They just sit there with that dumbfounded look on their face because you know what? They don't think about it. You get that mob mentality and go with what the mob voice spews out. The mob spews hate against Trump. My God, I couldn't say that. And they just go with it without even just blindly following, without questioning for a minute. Wait a minute, what has Trump said that offends me? 9 times out of 10, you ask them, what has Trump done that you personally disagree with? They won't be able to tell you.
This is from a video that I saw. This guy was going around. He was at a Trump rally, and the people are protesting outside, and they're talking about the illegals coming over, and the guy's talking about the coyotes. That they said that the coyotes are raping the women, and the girl, a college student that he's talking to, she goes, Coyotes? Oh, I'm not talking to you anymore. Coyotes are raping people. Illegals, when they come over, they get smuggled. They're getting smuggled by people.
Right. Yeah.
These people, they're called coyotes, and they're the ones that are smuggling them over to the United States. And they get paid. There's like the big guy that gets paid, and they work for him. And these guys, and these little, the smaller guys, they don't really get that much money, but they're tasked to take them to America, and they get dropped off to one coyote to another, and they get paid, and they got to give the money. They're like the prostitutes to the guy, to their pimp, basically. They don't really make money. But what they do is they steal from the families that they're smuggling, and sometimes they'll smuggle a bunch of families at one time, and they drop them off. And when you hear you hear stories of people getting, like, illegals getting raped and murdered and robbed as they're coming here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from the coyotes, and it's a big deal. And I don't think these liberals really understand what's going on. That was just a little thing that they don't even know.
Again, uninformed.
They're uninformed. So Trent, do you have any other experiences with uninformed liberals?
None off the top of my head, but I know just in general, you can't have a debate with them.
No,
They'll either blow you off, or they just don't know anything. It's one or the other. I've never met a really informed liberal, because once they're informed, they're not going to be a liberal.
We were actually having a debate. When you posted that picture of the two chimps, we were having that debate with that guy who kept calling us Nazis. That dude was just he wasn't arguing with us. He was just fucking autistically screeching, "No, nothing."
Like if you watch InfoWars and you see some of the people that Alex Jones runs into, they just look like
you're racist.
They just I don't even know what to call them.
Neanderthals.
Yeah, basically.
Troglodytes.
They look like trolls that just crawled out of a fucking cave.
Goblins.
I think he called them goblins.
Yeah, I think that's what he called them, goblins.
Yeah.
It's the one where the guys on the street say over here, say to the camera, say to the camera.
That absolute homunculus on the side of the street.
Yeah, I saw that.
Goblin screaming.
You're a fucking white male! If anyone remembers AIDS Skrillex, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Carl the Cuck, AIDS Skrillex, Banshee Bitch.
I got something that's uninformed liberals to do with it. It's also the media that plays a big role.
Oh, definitely. They don't report on...
The media either doesn't report or they give them false information on purpose.
Fake news, yeah. And then CNN
running defense for Antifa. Peace through violence.
And one example, and a small example, but it's one of them, with the whole thing about Melania's shoes, where she was wearing heels to Houston. And we report on this, and I even had pictures of her in the sneakers. But it was Trump that said it best, that we respect the White House, so she's leaving the White House dressed for being at the White House. Goes onto the plane, which she had her sneakers on already. She had no idea all that stuff was going on in the media. She comes out of the plane, and she's got her sneakers on. And then we got into a couple debates on Instagram with people saying that she was horrible for doing all the typical stuff. And they just once they knew that she didn't have them on when she was in Houston, they have nothing else to say. And they hopefully, I guess they feel stupid after. But it's just more of liberals being uninformed, and the media plays a big role in that with fake news.
And you know what really pisses me off? When you see stuff like that, and you look at the subtext at the bottom of the screen, it's usually stuff that's more important than whatever they're playing on the fucking big screen.
The scrolls are usually more important than the main story coverage.
And just to point out, the outlet that does the scrolls on the bottom, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, they use the same company that does that, and it's a little it's pretty much left leaning. Just to throw that fact out there.
So anything else?
Not that I could think of right now. I just wanted to bring,
The fact that
the world's uninformed.
public is uninformed. Yeah.
But that's good though. It's important. It's good that you came on to talk about that.
So anyway, I think just to get it out there, for anyone who's looking for sources, I mean, take a look at things like the Daily Wire. Daily Wire is an excellent source, it's a credible source. Ben Shapiro is a credible guy. He's non-biased. I mean, you look at things like CNN. You look at, if you want to win a debate, don't cite mainstream media, because mainstream media holds an obvious bias. If you want to win a debate, cite a website without an obvious bias. And credible sources, because you know what? Actually, while we're on this, you know what really grinds my gears here is I even see conservative pages posting news that's, posting fake news. But, guys, check your sources before you post. I saw something earlier today that really, got my blood boiling that said Roger Goodell, look, I don't support the NFL kneeling protest. I think it's in bad taste. I think it's incredibly disrespectful. But...
And you heard about that when we talked about it.
Someone posted something about Roger Goodell saying something along the lines of, if you stop watching the NFL, you're racist. He did not say that. Roger Goodell did not say that if you stop watching football, you are a racist. I don't care that if you don't support him. I don't support him either, but do not spread fake news, because you know what? Now you're discrediting yourself as a source. And if you do post fake news, at the very least, we're not innocent. We've done it before. We did it with the Berkeley thing, but we put out a statement reiterating that it was in fact fake news, and we corrected ourselves.
And the difference is with a lot of people that if they're doing it purposely to put out fake news, that's wrong. If you're putting out fake news because you just failed to check your sources,
that's unacceptable.
That's on you. In the case that with us with the Berkeley thing, that was the only news that was the only thing that was out
we've ever posted a fake source.
But because that was the only information that was out there.
That was what we heard at the time from Kyle Chapman, and I presumed Kyle Chapman to be a credible source. And we know next time to just double check before we post.
Double check, do your own research, and if you're going to post something, then it ends up being that it's not true. Retract it, and put out an update.
Do not leave it up there, because you know what? Then people go on and spread that, and this is how you discredit yourself as a source. So, this doesn't lie on just one side of the spectrum. This is on both sides of the spectrum. More so on the left, but it's on the right, and I don't... Remember, guys, if you're going to be right-wing, part of right-wing is being educated.
And the difference is that the left purposely does it, where on the right, it seems that it's just not checking sources.
I saw something else, too. It said, it was a clickbait title, but don't post clickbait, okay? But the title said something along the lines of Russians bought ads in support of Hillary Clinton. Headline made it out to be as though Russians only bought ads in support of Hillary Clinton. But if you were to read the article, it then devolved into saying that they bought ads supporting both Trump and Clinton with no real agenda, seemingly supporting their own unique agenda. So, guys, again, read before you post.
And there will be people that will try to make sure that they get it, get that on you. Recently, I reported about Canada saying that they're not going to take the immigrants if they want to come to Canada. Remember that one, Dan?
I did, yeah.
And we had someone DM'd us a screenshot. It wasn't a link, it wasn't anything. It was just a screenshot of a news article saying that that Canada's going to take everyone in.
That was true though. He did.
But he did. That was true. I said, okay, send me the link and tell me what the date was. He sends it to me. It was in January. This new report from Canada was the other day. So another thing, make sure you also know what date it was when the article was posted.
Remember, you can always use previous statements to back up your claims. In the age of information, there's no excuse to be ignorant. This isn't 1984. We're not. Eurasia was not always at war with Southeast Asia. Or what was it? Oceania has not always been at war with East Asia. We've always been at war with Eurasia. It's not like that. Records haven't been wiped out. You can always find the information you need.
Trent, any final thoughts on this topic?
Not too much, no.
All right. Well,
I've gotten about all the thoughts I have out.
All right. Thank you for coming on, Trent.
Thank you for coming
having
on.
me.
All right.
I hope you all enjoyed that interview. That was pretty interesting and pretty fun.
Yeah, I like that. It was fun.
Time for the viewer mail now.
Yay!
One of our followers writes to us, I was recently running the Instagram and Twitter page Alt Left Unleashed. For a while it was all good, no post removed or flagged. But the last post I put up was a Washington Post article from 2015 saying it's okay to call Trump a Nazi and whole reasoning why it's okay on the part of internet trolling. Boom, next day, page is gone, no reasoning, no nothing. I can't log in, and I can't sign up for any new accounts, even under new emails. Seems sus to me.
That is certainly suspect.
Your take.
I think, it's all good until you call out the Jew directly. Now, why they went so hard on his page after simply because of a Washington Post article from 2015. That's weird to me. It seems like trying to dig up the past and prove why they're wrong. Now they're saying, "Oh, we never said that it's okay to call Trump a Nazi." Well, you show them the proof, and boom, page gone. 1984, straight out of the manual. That's strange to me.
And we know right-wing accounts.
Your mic cut out.
And you know how they are with censoring right-wing accounts.
Definitely. We've had a multitude of our posts removed over bullshit. Yeah,
some great ones. For those who remember the
Ramadan post,
Ramadan, the classic one, and I think my personal favorite, the one I made about Michelle and Obama, Barack Obama, Michelle with the chimps. For those who remember that one.
Good times. Yeah, I remember the plethora of "Yo, bro, not all Muslims" comments on that Ramadan post.
The best you tagged Instagram. and us there is the pig and the Muhammad. So yeah, about this, I think it's definitely very suspicious and suspect. Very you could go into pretty much just saying that they took it down because they didn't like it on your thing, showing them
but then
how
to take down the whole
insane
account,
they are.
To take down the whole account is just overkill.
It's and we know that they've been doing this, and take down the account. Can't let him use another email to make a new account. He's banned from Instagram and Twitter.
Yep. So guys, if you need to, this is actually a little advice here. I'm glad you sent this in. If you need to make a false account, download the app for Burner. I forget. I think it's called Burner Phone. It gives you a fake burner number. You can use that number to set up a false email account. Use that email account to create a new account if you get taken down.
So thank you for writing in, and thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm your host, Brandon, and we're the Alt Knights, and this is the Knights Court.
And here at the Alt Knights, we pride ourselves on one thing: real news, real time. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time.